Hello there, I'm Gokul and I'm an ESL trainer and I hold a Trinity CertTesol certification. TEFL stands for Teaching English as a Foreign Language. These certificates are mandatory if you are looking for a job to become an English language teacher abroad in English non-speaking countries. There are different types of TEFL certifications you can get, but let us categorize it into two. You have Trinity CertTesol and the Cambridge CELTA certificate on one side, and then you have the other TEFL certifications on the other side. Well, let me point out the difference between. For example, let's take the case of the universities or the engineering colleges in India. At the elite level, you have the IITs, and then you have the NITs, and then you have the state-run universities, and finally you have the private universities. So based on the universities which you graduate, you have its own reputation and its own benefits. In this case, it is very similar to the TEFL certifications as well. I would say Cambridge CELTA and Trinity CertTesol are the two certificates which hold a premier position in TEFL certification, and I would definitely recommend you to take any one of these. And there are hundreds of other institutions where you can approach to get your TEFL certification, but it all comes after this. I would definitely say that in-classroom training always comes over the distance training. In-classroom training has its own advantages. I had an in-classroom training experience. I can just point out that you cannot be English trainer or an English teacher to the students unless you don't have an exposure of teaching in a classroom. And if you have that, you always stand out from the rest. Distance training or distance certification can be done if you do not have the time and money to spend for. In-classroom teaching has made me learn a lot. In a classroom, you might have students who are very good at grasping things and they just grasp them very quickly on what you're trying to teach. And on the other side, you have students who are weaker and takes a lot of time to understand what you're trying to say. So as a teacher is concerned, it is very important that you can balance between these two and without losing the focus of either side of the class. So you must be able to provide a balance, and with in-classroom exposure you will definitely acquire this by the end of your training program. My teaching practice one was so terrible that I didn't know how to manage my class. I didn't know how to arrange the seats, what kind of seating arrangement helps my students to focus more on what I'm trying to say, what kind of seating arrangement is good for group discussion, and lots more. So by the end of the 10th class, I learned how can I get my students within the way that I wanted them to do, how can I carry out the group activities, what is the best seating arrangement for the activities, and so on. So definitely in-classroom training is the best. I cannot talk about Cambridge CELTA, but I can talk about the Trinity CertTesol, and I would say I had a great time doing 1 month of this intensive course. In India, you only have one center where you can get your Trinity CertTesol certification, and it's in Kerala, in Cochin, in CELTA International Language Academy. That is the institute which offers Trinity CertTesol certifications for English trainers. I had to spend almost like 1.15 lakh Indian rupees for the entire course, and it might be a little more for students who have opted for accommodation and living expenses, but I would say it's all worth the money because in-classroom training always comes over the distance learning. Have moderators from the Trinity College London, and also we had instructors from the British Council. It really guided us in the right path, and we had teaching practice sessions and we had feedback session after each day's class, and it was very helpful. That's where we came to know about our strengths and weaknesses. The most entertaining section in Trinity CertTesol was that we had a foreign language learning class. The main motive behind this class was we must be able to understand how a student would feel to learn a new language, how difficult it is to learn a new language from scratch. And to get that kind of a feeling in us, we had to learn a foreign language, and we opted for Swahili. It is an African language, and we started to learn from the starting the phrases and the number system and so on, and it was like very interesting, and we had a very good time in that class. We cracked jokes, and it was the most interesting part in CertTesol program. It's not necessary to have a bachelor's degree in English in order to get a TEFL or a Trinity CertTesol certificate or Cambridge CELTA certificate. You have to attend a preliminary exam, which is an MCQ, kind of like a multiple choice question, and you'll be asked to tick out the right words from the 4 options that they provide, and it will be basically testing your knowledge in your grammar, and also you'll be given an essay to write to check on your writing skills. And definitely if you score a kind of like a cut-off score which the university wants you to have, you can definitely enroll for the program. I got dual certification, one from TEFL certificate from Oxford TEFL Spain, and one from Trinity College London.